Broadcasting live from Liberatory CPA Studios, I'm Dr. Brian Alman, sitting in for Rick Amato. And we are very fortunate to have as a guest Marty Cooper, the inventor of the cell phone, the father of the cell phone, and we know everybody is using their cell phone probably right now. And we're headed into a very interesting area, which is the future of the cell phone, including 5G, which seems to be something everyone's curious about. But where are we going? Education, health, poverty. Where is this phone that more people have? There's more phones than there are people in the world. Where are we going, Marty? What do you visualize? What's your vision? We're all interested in your answers.
Well, first of all, you think about the irony of calling this gadget. Where's my gadget?
Right. Don't lose that. That's more important than your wallet or your keys.
How could you call this a phone?
Right.
Right. It has a computer that was a supercomputer. It has the power of what was a supercomputer 5 years ago.
Right.
And it has sensors like you can't believe. So what the phone does is connect people. That's the most important thing the phone does. But it also stores information and it connects you to the internet.
Right.
So you have access, every individual has access to all the knowledge in the world and to how that knowledge is interpreted. So we call those apps.
Right.
So think about what's the biggest problem in the world today? What's your view of that? Mm-hmm. Poverty, right. I think. Mm-hmm. It turns out that there are literally still, in this modern age, there are still over 1 billion people in the world that live on less than $1.60 a day. That's the definition of severe poverty by the United Nations. And that's unconscionable because there is enough food to feed everybody in the world, but we are inefficient in how we do virtually everything. And so the biggest issue is poverty. How do you make people work together, solve problems, and create enough wealth so that everybody can be at least comfortable.
Right.
And I'm serious about that.
Yes.
If you extrapolate how inefficient we are now and how we could be, there's a potential someday, maybe 50 generations from now,
hopefully
for everybody to be wealthy. Everybody to have as much as they want. Well, we haven't got there yet. But what happened in Africa, as an example, is they just introduced what is effectively a banking system in Africa. It lets people transfer money. They had no way of doing that before. Poor people couldn't have checking accounts. They had no way of moving money from one place to another. And they had no way of saving money. Just introducing that concept, all with the cell phone, and not a smartphone. Ordinary feature phone has taken, the United Nations estimates, 1.2 billion people moved out of severe poverty. Many of them are still poor, but huge increase over a period of only 20 years.
Fantastic.
It was just remarkable.
Love it.
And we haven't just started yet because all these entertainments we do, The Economist just published an article that said that most people in the world still use their smartphones for entertainment. Not really. We're training them. We're training them how to use the phone, how to extrapolate information, how to interact with the phone, how to connect through the phone to other people, to the internet. And when they get expert at that, they are going to start collaborating. Everything will be done by collaboration, not by just the people that happen to be in the same room so we can have a conference, but by the best minds to attack every specific problem. And that form of collaboration is going to be revolutionary. It's going to increase our efficiency enough to solve this problem of poverty.
Beautiful.
So I think that's that will have the biggest impact in the world.
And if in 20 years we've done what you just described, gotten 1 billion people from the very bottom up, imagine in the next 20 years, not 50 generations, but within arm's reach, maybe even 5 years, what we can accomplish.
Yeah, don't rush it, but yes, you're absolutely right. And there are other big problems. The next biggest problem, biggest long-range problem is education. And we have an archaic education system. The concept of a lecturer standing up, talking to a group of people, it was started by the King of Prussia 200 years ago. And here we are still doing the same thing in most places. But we've got tools now, tools that will connect students to the internet continually, wherever they are.
Right.
As long as they are wirelessly connected. They don't need a teacher giving them information. They have access to more information than any one teacher will ever get. Teachers ought to be counseling, guiding, teaching people how to use the tools, and let the children learn the way you and I learned. How did we learn? We solved problems.
Right.
We got stuck out in the real world. We had the tools of basic knowledge, and we solved problems. We didn't have silos like arithmetic, geography, math.
No.
We used all the tools to solve problems, and that's what the future education system will do. Now people are a lot smarter, and they know how to collaborate, and we have another big problem, and that is healthcare. The biggest problem in healthcare has got nothing to do with cell phones. It's got to do, we don't have healthcare.
Right.
What we have is sick care.
Uh-huh.
We wait for people to get sick,
Right.
and then we try to cure them. But every disease is actionably preventable. That's the most powerful thing that I ever could say. Every disease can be prevented if you sense it soon enough and kill it before it becomes a disease. And one of the tools to do that, it's not the only tool,
Right.
but one of the tools to do that is to connect you, every part of your body, to some computer somewhere that analyzes what's going on in your body, and it sends us, I see a cancer cell there. You see that cancer cell, zap it. You zap it before it becomes a real cancer.
Right.
There's a time somewhere in the future there won't be any cancer. And we can't do that yet.
Right.
But there are a whole bunch of diseases that we can solve. Already today, if you have diabetes, you don't have to prick your finger and measure the blood and then decide what your blood sugar is like, and decide how much insulin to put in. There is already a gadget that will be implanted in your body, measures your insulin level continuously. There's an insulin pump also in your body that delivers the amount of insulin you need when you need it.
Is this connected
That's today.
That's today, that's now. Is this connected to 5G at all?
Well, in a way,
We just have a minute left, so I want people to hear something about that.
Yeah, well, 5G at the moment is mostly hype.
Okay.
You think about what's your problem? And I'm saying this to all your listeners.
Right.
What's your problem with cell phones today? I'll tell you what your problem is. You don't have coverage everywhere. They cost too much. Do you need more speed? I don't think so. You're getting as much speed as you ever need. Oh, I know what you need, latency. That's what the carriers.
Right.
Most people don't even know what latency is, and you don't have to know because it's irrelevant. So it turns out that the biggest issue is to get the cost of cellular down, make sure the coverage is everywhere, and then start moving into this concept of the Internet of Things. And those things are the sensors on your body. And there are devices everywhere that measure things and so that people can make them better, so they can improve them. Well, we're a few generations away from that.
Maybe not.
And they just don't get caught up in the 5G hype. Don't
Right.
spend a nickel more for your cellular service if 5G is the only reason.
Well, everything's happening faster than we think. You probably want to know more about the cell phone, the history, how it happened, what's happening in the future in Marty's book that's coming out soon. You will all want to read it, Marty Cooper, and you can go on Google, you can go on YouTube, find out more, but be on the lookout for his book. I want to thank you very much for being here. You know, I appreciate it so much.
Pleasure.
Yeah. So we'll be back in just a little bit, and stay with us because something else is coming up that you'll be very interested in.
Politics and Profits with Rick Amato is brought to you by Liberatory Accounting, the IRS problem solvers. To find out how Liberatory Accounting can help you, call 877-6-SOLVER. That's 877-6-SOLVER.